Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Historical Biography. Today, we're going to be talking about a very important man in American history, William Jennings Bryan. Like it says here on our screen here, it says he carried a cross of gold, and we'll get to the reason why he did that. It's more of a metaphor than him actually doing it, because crosses of gold would be incredibly heavy. But he was a pretty important person at the turn of the 20th century. So we're going to talk about what he did and how he helped change America. So who was William Jennings Bryan? Well, he was an orator and a politician from Nebraska who was known as a populist force in the Democratic Party. He ended up serving in the House of Representatives as well as the Secretary of State under Woodrow Wilson, and he ran for president 3 times in 1896, 1900, and 1908. He is one of 2 people in American history to receive electoral votes in 3 separate elections and never win the presidency, which is a bummer because, these things happen. Now, the Cross of Gold that I mentioned at the beginning, this is kind of his major policy that he supported as a politician. Bryan rose to prominence in the Democratic Party at the 1896 Democratic National Convention, where he delivered a speech entitled The Cross of Gold. And this speech was really talking about the American gold standard. Basically, at the time, all money was backed by actual physical gold, right? Nowadays, there isn't actually any real thing backing up the value of our currency. American dollars they have value because we believe they have value. But back then, there was actual gold that you could exchange for the money, right? So that meant that all the money that was printed had to actually be physically backed up by a precious metal. He was arguing that they should expand the currency and use silver to back some money so that more money would be put into the economy, and it would be inflationary. It would raise prices, it would raise wages, it would help ordinary people. Bryan, after giving this speech, actually won his party nomination for president and became the youngest nominee of a major party in history. And at 36, he became the youngest person to win an electoral college vote. No one has been younger that has won an electoral college vote since either. Okay? So he was pretty important at a very young age. Now, like I said, he was, or did I mention that already? I didn't. That's okay. William Jennings Bryan was a populist, and what populism is generally is the idea that ordinary people need to have a larger say in the government, right? Populists movements are generally run by the people, not what people would be considered as elites. So the populists that supported Bryan were called agrarian populists, and their platform was highly progressive and drew its strength from farmers and frontiersmen. They were kind of a big force in the United States at the turn of the century, going into the 20th century. Western expansion had increased the number of people who could vote in national elections, and these frontiersmen and farmers were becoming a large political force in American politics. The populist movement eventually became the progressive movement, which ended up becoming much more successful at the national level. But at the state level, at least, the populist movement was very successful, and William Jennings Bryan was kind of their champion. Now, after he stopped being a politician, his political career kind of fell apart after he left the Wilson administration. Bryan devoted a large part of his time to anti-evolution activism, and famously, he represented the anti-evolution movement in the 1925 Scopes trial. Not something that I particularly believe in, nor many other people, right? But he ended up dying later that year, and that was kind of his last thing he did before he passed away. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you know when more content is coming on my channel. You can learn more about the historical people that have shaped our world. Thank you so much. See you next time.